So, self-knowledge is an incredibly important quality in living spiritually. As a psychotherapist, I am totally dedicated to helping people who come to see me learn about all of their different parts and learn how to be in relationship with their different parts in as loving and as a compassionate manner as possible. So, let's look at why this process of self-knowledge is at times difficult. Why we might not be interested in that. Why we might want to not get to know these parts. Why we might want to push them away. Why we might want to be numb and just not pay attention. So, for me, it basically boils down to two different reasons that are complete polar opposites of each other. The first reason is that there are these parts of us who have somehow learned or come to conclusions that we are not good enough in some way. In Kabbalah, they talk about the bread of shame. And what that is when there's God and when there's us, how can we feel not good enough? It's just kind of like an intrinsic thing that we have this predilection towards always feeling not good enough. I think that's actually what Roman Catholics are talking about when they're talking about original sin. You know? This predilection to realize that we're not God, just like Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. After they ate from the apple, all of a sudden they realize they're not God. And for the first time, they want to hide. For the first time, they're feeling all of this shame. And I'm sure we all have our own version of this wounded part that needs to be taken care of. And then we switch over to the total opposite polarity. That there we are terrified of the possibility that we could be powerful beyond measure. It scares the hell out of us. Well, why is that? You know, just like Adam and Eve, you know, when they were in the Garden of Eden and in paradise and had everything they wanted, that wasn't enough. They were told by the serpent that if they ate from that fruit of that tree, they were going to be God just like God. And then they wanted that. They wanted to be God. Now I pose to you, how often in your life is there this part of you that wants to be God? This part of you that thinks you know best. This part of you that thinks you know the way. You know the best way to take care of you, and nobody isn't going to say anything about that. And for all of us who wrestle with or have ever wrestled with an addiction of any kind, this is absolutely what that is. This part of us that thinks that they know better and they're going to take care of us in that way, even though it's making our life totally unmanageable. So we have these two totally polar opposites, okay, that are there at the same time. Jung, by the way, would call this an autonomous complex, which is running our life. you know? These protectors that are running in our life in a way that does not serve us. And in both instances are definitely going to be getting in the way and impairing our ability to get to know ourselves. Because when we're in this side of the polarity, we don't want to pay any attention to those wounded parts. No, we're angry with them. We want to get rid of them. We want them to not be there. And when we're over here, we're really terrified because we're afraid that our ego is going to take over and we're going to take being powerful beyond measure to a point that's also not going to be in our highest good. Well, what do we do about this? What are we going to do about this? I'm going to tell you. To me, what we need to do about this is to turn to God and to be in relationship with our higher power in a way where that higher power is going to reveal to us who we truly are. Now, at times in my life, when I was in the dark night of the soul, I would go into my office where I have a little altar there, and I would have my picture of Mary sitting up there on the altar, and I would imagine myself like a little child who was just going to her and being held by her and being loved by her and being supported by her and being guided by her. And in that experience, I was able to remember who I really am. We're going to be singing our next song is all about this. Remind me who I am. I needed to be reminded. I needed to be reminded that I'm lovable. I needed to be reminded that I am a child of God. I needed to be reminded that my whole purpose in life is really to just be a channel for that source. By having the divine come in and do that for me at a time when I couldn't do it for myself, it helped me to see who I really am. And it has provided me with the ability to then just be a channel for that myself. That I can channel those energies. They're right inside of us. You know? They're not up in heaven. They're right here. You know? Just like Francesco Rinaldi, they're in there. Same with the other side. Jimbo agrees. Same with the other side. When I'm frightened to be all who I am, when I'm frightened to take risks, when I'm frightened to put myself out on a limb, I can go to the divine who's there and speaks to me and loves me and guides me. And in this way, I can then be a channel for myself. To me, this process that I'm describing to you here today is perhaps the most significant spiritual practice that I know of. I believe that this is what it's all about. And it is only when we are willing to surrender and either go to the divine directly go to our higher power directly, or to be that channel for God's love and healing to ourselves, it's only then that all of those parts are going to be willing to reveal themselves to us. It's only then that they're going to feel safe enough to come out. Sorry about that. Technical difficulty. Surrender. I got it. Surrender. You're always teaching me that. Absolutely. It's only then that we and our wounded parts are going to feel safe enough to reveal themselves to us. Otherwise, we're playing hide and seek. How many of you can relate to that hide and seek game? How many of you find yourself playing that hide and seek game? Oh, yeah. Right. That's the spiritual practice that I'm talking about. When we realize we're playing hide and seek, that's when we have to do this process that I've just been talking about. So, before we go on to our meditation, there's 2 readings that I want to share with you. This first one is from Marianne Williamson, where she does this beautiful job of embracing these 2 polarities. She says, our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. It is our light, she says not our darkness, but I say and our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are we to not be that? We are a child of God, and playing small does not serve anybody. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around us. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is right within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in each and every one of us. As we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Now, one more for you. This is out of the book, The Shack, one of my favorite all-time books. We haven't done that here in a few years. We've got to bring that back. It's a great book. If those of you who haven't read it, the author is young. But in this story, there's this man who's gone through a terrible ordeal in his life, huge trauma. And he goes to